You know, I don't care how frustrated you get, especially if you came here in 1973 and you see how much growth has been here, you know, and the old timers. Oh, I remember it was this little town, you know. Yeah, I do too. I remember on being in high school and parking on Fifth Avenue because it was rolled up. It was dark at 5:30 or 6 o'clock on a Friday. It didn't open back up. And we parked there, and we just did a circuit driving around town. You know, that's all we did because there was nothing to do.
Nothing to do, yeah.
Now this place is vibrant, you know, and they say, yeah, it's growing too much. They go somewhere else, and it's not so great. No. And they realize how great it is here in not just Naples, but Collier County in general. But, you know, Naples is the hub. You know, I'm fortunate to be the tax collector in Collier County. I love this place. Yeah, it may be busy here, but it's not crazy busy like, you know, it is in other places.
Right.
And I think it's important that, you know, we elect people to keep it that way and you know, the specialness of Collier County.
Welcome back, everybody, to Everybody Loves Naples. Today we have an awesome, very special guest. We're going to Rob Stoneburner, local to Naples, born and raised here. He's got all kinds of stories. He happens to be the Collier County Tax Collector and the glue to one of the glue members of Naples North Rotary Club. Put on Beer Fest every year. There's the pin. I should have worn mine.
Where's your pin now?
Fine for
Dang
you.
it. I'm going to get fined for this. I'm sure we're going to get fined.
I'm going to mention it, so you will. Bring some money.
I'm going to get fined a lot at our next meeting because I have Rob on today. So, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, we got Beer Fest, 15th annual.
15th, yeah. Started in 2012.
And it was all...
Made $2,500 on that one, I think.
And it was all your idea.
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely
Let's
not.
set the record straight really quick,
Not
Rob.
all my idea.
Tell us about Beer Fest and how it kind of came about and how it ties into Rotary, because I think people don't know that.
Well, we were, you know, our club had multiple fundraisers over the years, Christmas trees, things like that. And you got to sell a lot of Christmas trees to make a couple $1,000s, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we were trying to come up with something that could sustain itself over time and something that the whole club could do. And so Heather Henning, Jeff Clapper, and we were just hanging out, having beers somewhere one evening and talking about stuff like this, and it kind of came up. I had a friend who's now a member of the Rotary Club, and he worked for, at that time, Coastal Beverage, and we had chatted about, you know, maybe a beer fest kind of thing, and then he had talked to his boss, and I mean, when his boss, Mark Vroman, said, let's do this, it went from... I think the first fest from just an idea to the day of was like 105 days. We sat at their boardroom table, and 105 days later, we were doing the fest.
Wow.
That's insane.
It's insane. And for those of you who don't know, we plan this all year now. This is like, a 365-day planning, and you are, I feel like, the head chair. I mean, you run the fest. If you've been to Beer Fest, you've seen Rob in his big ass straw hat and a bright colored t-shirt. So when I joined Rotary 3 years ago, I didn't really know what it was. And I have a lot of, you know, friends my age that I'm trying to get in the club and bring some young blood in. And for those of you listening who are a part of a Rotary Club, awesome. We love it. But we raise money for different charities in town. So the Beer Fest, yes, it's a great event and it's a ton of fun. We work it. We work about, 10 to 12 hours, all for volunteering. And, but we raise a lot of money for various charities. And since Rob's been in the club, how long have you been?
I came into the club in 2002.
Wow.
Perfect attendance since then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously?
That's important to me, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was sergeant at arms, and I had a fine for you, and you weren't there.
You can make up. You have 2 weeks either side to make up, so that's why you have perfect attendance.
Okay, where do you like to make up?
It depends. I made up in foreign countries, you know, Rotary's worldwide, so that's the cool thing about Rotary.
Yeah.
And I've been in different states and made up, and, you know, trade flags, you know, make sure when I'm going out of town that I grab our club flag, and you may go to a club that doesn't have it, and you get one from them, or you come into town, you know, downtown club, you know, meets on Wednesday at lunch, or the Pelican Bay Club meets Fridays for breakfast.
Yep.
One of those two is usually where I end up making up, or
Yeah.
There's multiple things that we do. Beer Fest meetings, we don't have them all the time. We go for a few months without them, but then as it gets closer, they're once a month, once every couple of weeks.
Right.
Now they're once every week, and so
Wow.
those can also count as a makeup as well.
Perfect attendance. I can't say the same. Were you a perfect attendance in grade school? I know you cut class.
No, I think I did one time. Yeah, one time. It was right before Thanksgiving. My parents went out of town, and I called and said I was having to have a crown or something like that, and jumped out of school.
Prove it.
Yeah, and that was the only time.
Wow.
I think the statute of limitations has run out on that, so I can talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I didn't skip school. I went to St. John Newman for my first 2 years of high school, and I ended up with a lot of extra credits. And by the time I got to Naples High, I could get out early.
You were advanced.
Yeah, I mean, I could get out early. I got out a class early for on-the-job training. I worked for the Winds at Winds Market.
Classic.
Oh yeah,
I want to get
Winds,
that
hey, listen,
on too.
There are so many, leaders in this town that work for the Winds. They're great people. Great people to work for.
Yeah.
Show you how to do things the right way. And I worked in the meat department.
So that was 50 years ago?
How long? 50?
So we just give each other shit the whole meeting, I feel like, at Rotary. So I feel like I have to take, no, I'm
it wasn't
kidding.
50 years.
20.
It wasn't more than 20. Thank you. That's nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah, getting closer to 40. But I told him I wanted to work in the meat department. I didn't want to work in the meat department. I mean, I did, but I didn't. That's not what I wanted to do for a career. But not a bad thing to do. So I got out early. And my senior year, I got out 2 or 3 classes early. I didn't go to lunch at school. I stopped by the mall, grabbed some Chompers pizza, and boom, went to work and was working 40 hours a week and going to high school at the same time. It was awesome.
Chompers Pizza?
Chompers Pizza. They're not there anymore.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, that's what I was going to say.
I've never heard of it in my life.
Not my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had big. It was kind of like a softer crust, but it was pan deep dish.
And the cost of that pie was?
Oh, you didn't get a pie. You just got a piece. That's all you need. One piece.
Oh, okay.
So cost of that
probably,
slice?
I don't know, $2.50 maybe.
Nice. All right, we're gonna clip that one up for the Naples 70s kids, 80s.
I graduated in the 80s.
Great.
Let's call it 80s.
Okay, Naples 80s kids. Mm-hmm. That's a Chompers. That was your go-to spot in the food court at Coastland?
That, and then later on, probably Chick-fil-A.
I mean, yeah, right?
Chick-fil-A, and then go to the ice cream shop and get a peanut butter chocolate milkshake.
What, the DQ Julius?
No, it was Baskin Robbins or something.
Oh,
was in
yeah.
There.
Yeah.
We'd all meet at the food court.
Right.
On Friday and Saturday nights.
You know what I'm so happy is still there is American Cookie. Was that there when you were a kid?
No.
Damn.
Orange Julius was there.
Orange
we had
Julius,
things like, we had record stores in the mall.
Yeah.
That actually sold records.
I remember that.
And the big thing was CDs back then.
Yeah. Do you remember Jabberwockies?
No. That sounds familiar, but no.
Remember when Robbie and I were talking about this the other night and we started cracking up. We had a freaking pet store in the mall.
It was called Petland.
Petland. When you think about it now, you're like, you went into you're outside, glass door, and you're like, there's puppies in there, there's pets. You go in and you pick one out. And I'm like, I guess that makes sense because now we have the online thing. You follow different Facebook groups with different breeders to whatever, or rescue. But back then it was like, if you want a puppy, you go to the mall.
Or, go
Is that not the funniest thing to think about?
I think we still have one back in northern Minnesota where I come from as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Still the same thing as go to the mall and
it makes me so sad.
get a python.
Yeah, right?
We can go to the Everglades and get one of those.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good segue because Mr. Everglades, man. I feel like you have so many memories that, you shared in the Rotary Club.
I want to correct you, though. You said I was born and raised here. I wasn't born here. I was raised here. I was born in Michigan.
Okay.
Near Kalamazoo, southwestern Michigan. Get a lot of lake effect snow in the wintertime. I like to joke. I was 3 years old reading a Wall Street Journal and told my mom and dad, said, you know what, Naples is where we need to be. It's getting ready to happen there. And we came down to Naples when I was 3. I was brilliant as a young kid, right?
I didn't say any of that.
And so I've been here ever since.
Invested in the market.
So 1970, we moved here. I was almost 4, 1974.
Okay. So
1973 we moved, so I was almost 4, yeah.
Yeah, raised.
My grandparents came here in about 68.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of people, old timers, know my grandfather, Stony Stoneburner, and he was a developer. We had a citrus grove. That's where I got my degree in citrus production. A couple family groves. We had a grove in Bonita and a grove in Naples. They're gone now. Citrus greening is destroyed. Well, citrus greening and development. Naples Grove was where First Baptist Church in Naples and Bridgewater Bay. Mm-hmm. That's where I learned how to drive. That's where I learned how to shoot a gun, fish, all that stuff. Yeah. And now it's condos and a church.
I mean, Livingston Road wasn't a thing.
It was, kind of.
But it was for that, though.
It wasn't Livingston Road now.
No, yeah. It was a pasture. It was a farm.
It was a lot of tomato fields all around there. Tons of stuff.
I remember that as a kid.
Our grove was planted in that one was like 67, 68, multiple partners. John Pulling was a partner. Everybody knows the Pullings around town, and they over time it ended up between John Pulling, my grandfather, buying partners out, and then they, later on they're both A personalities, so they butted heads, and so one guy had one grove and one guy had the other grove, and that's how it went from then on out. And
you were inspired enough by that to get your degree in that.
Well, they needed somebody to take over and do that, so that's what I did. Yeah. So how do you become ag degree?
Right.
And I'm the tax collector now. I mean, it just goes to shit. Life takes you in all kinds of...
and you were a butcher at one point.
Yeah, butcher.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now he's the tax collector.
I mean, it's I go to... And like you were talking about, Everglades, woods. I love the woods. I'm more of a land guy than a water guy. A water ski and fish and stuff, but I prefer to be in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have some crazy stories out there. We'll have to get some images from your extravaganza.
Yeah, well, back then it was we might have had a cell phone, a flip phone or something like that, but you didn't really have cameras. I mean, if you had a camera, it was a camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't have a phone that you could, GPS and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of undocumented stories, which is probably a good thing, because if we had cell phones when I was, in high school or early on there, I probably wouldn't be the tax collector today for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
because there'd be evidence,
There'd be evidence. Well, your memory is on point. And I wonder if that has something to do with, you didn't have the capability so easily to document, take a photo, take a note, whatever, and you had to really remember, because the way you told us that story when you were the speaker kind of recently, him and his two buddies in high school.
We had three of us total, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them's in our Rotary Club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was we took the Lost Man's River trip.
Lost Man's River trip.
And two little 10-foot John boats, and it was it went from a fun trip. I mean, it's fun to talk about now. It wasn't fun at the time. Let's put it that way.
They went to hell and back, basically, between
sunk a boat,
the weather,
all kinds of stuff.
Lost the beer, lost the tuna sandwich,
no, bologna sandwich,
bologna.
So your memory's not very good.
No, it's really not.
She knew it was a sandwich.
Yeah, I knew it was a sandwich. Yeah.
Lost Man, and it sounds like it was.
Yeah, we left from
Lose any men?
No, we went to Everglades City. It's down. It's called the Wilderness Waterway. It's a really cool ride. If you plan accordingly,
Sure.
we were just winging it.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy when you think about it. No ways to communicate or anything like that. And we're like, hey man, we just got 4 of us. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
No
and they all
contingencies
made
or plan Bs.
Nope.
That's some good times.
Can I go back a second? I was curious when you were talking about Rotary, and you kind of did a little soft pitch, but could you pitch to those out there and maybe myself as to what is the allure behind a Rotary Club? What's the point of joining one?
I think it's no different than we don't do a very good job of promoting ourselves, and I don't do a good job of doing that for me. I just don't toot my own horn or do those kind of things, and I think Rotary in general probably does that. But it is business people that can use their profession for good, and it doesn't matter what you do. Either it's we had a old timer that was in our club, John Brooks, who was awesome. And John always said certain things like, it's not about the money, it's what the money can do. Or you use your time, talent, or treasure, to help people that you will maybe never see in your lifetime. And so I say it's no different than, what Kiwanis does or Lions or those kind of things. You're doing charitable work. And each club has its own culture. So, Rotary International is an organization that is made up of districts and clubs and zones and all those kind of things. And we have multiple clubs in town, and each club has its own culture. And I think, I'm biased. I think the Naples North Rotary Club has the coolest culture there is, and we have fun. It's the same like at work as a tax collector. I tell our people, all the team, listen, we're here to do serious work, but we can have a little fun while we're doing it. It doesn't have to be so uptight and serious. And that's the same thing we do at Rotary. So we do fun things to raise money to help people that need help. Our biggest thing that we do at Naples North Rotary is raise funds for scholarships, both college scholarships, and even more importantly, to me anyway, is the scholarships that go to people know it as VOTEC, Lorenzo Walker Institute of Technology, LWIT. Those folks are adults, need help learning a new trade or something like that. So you're talking about electricians and plumbers and AC guys and marine mechanics, things that we need locally. And so they stay local, which is really important,
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that we don't help folks, but, disasters happen. We help. We have a sister club in Kingston, Jamaica. We've done a lot of work back and forth with them. And that's through a fellow Rotarian, Paul Jones, and he has a relationship with those folks down there, and that's how that happened. And so that's what the Beer Fest, kind of ties into that. We're having fun. We're all working our tails off that day. The whole club works hard for 4 to 6 hours. Then you have another contingent that works, the whole day, and then there's
basically the younger you are, the longer you work.
Absolutely, and the newer you are, you get latrine duty. We call it.
Yeah.
We don't really have latrine duty, but
No.
you're going to be hustling and doing those kind of things. And we have Rotarians that are in their 80s, so you gotta they want to help, but they're not going to be schlepping ice around and doing all this heavy work. So
no, it's a lot of fun. It's great for our community too.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a great way to have an event for the community in Bayfront. I mean, it's a beautiful spot for it. And then on top of that, we get to all the proceeds go to charitable, charities.
So it goes to our foundation, and then our foundation is what disseminates that money to, it's a charity. So that way you're donating to charity, and then we will do our charitable goods. It may go to a charity, or it may go to something that's needy that's not a charity. The Abused Women and Children Shelter, or Grace Place, or, Meals of Hope.
Yeah.
You name it, it's all considered. And usually there ends up being some type of relationship, or something's near and dear to a club member's heart or our president at the time, and those are the kind of things that we do. But I can tell you that money is always earmarked for scholarships. That's the biggest thing that we do.
Gotcha.
Keeping the next generation, and we've had people come, they come back, and because of us, it helped them get through that little bit of school, or especially Lorenzo Walker Institute of Technology, nurses. I mean, that's a big deal, those kind of things, or they're going up to FGCU or whatnot. So we have some partnerships that works with us for those scholarships. And so those are the kind of things, and back to what John Brooks always said, you're gonna raise money and give it to people that you may never see, in another country or whatnot, but that through Rotary, that we're all pulling together, and we're all like-minded in other countries, that you're not just sending money somewhere and it goes down a black hole, and it never really got to where it needed to go. You have somebody on the other side over there, a fellow Rotarian that is working on that side to make sure that what you're trying to accomplish gets accomplished. Yeah. So it's a great organization, and we don't do a very good job. I mean, personally, I don't think we do a great job promoting it.
Yeah. That's what they're getting us for.
We can talk about perks. I mean, you guys clearly have a really positive network of individuals that really care. That's super important, especially locally. And then outside of that, it makes you feel probably pretty good to be doing this charitable work. And maybe at the end of Beer Fest, you get a couple couple beers out of it. Maybe?
Yeah, usually.
We'll get to hang out with the Rotarians and
well, that's kind of
finish leftovers, maybe.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's always perks. There's always definitely perks. But with the beer fest specifically in our club, what drew me to it, you have to be invited, if you will, or have a get. You're a guest for a set amount of meetings. If you want to join the club, like we pay dues to support the meeting, and then we all contribute every meeting, whether it's a fine or we play trivia or this or that. And so all these dollars go into the various charities. And then in town, when you're driving by Lorenzo Walker, you're like, cool, like I have a piece of that, like I'm doing something locally and globally, obviously, as you said. I think it's so important for this to keep going. Like when I joined, I'll be honest with you, it felt like, when people were like, what's Rotary? I'm like, I don't really know. I'm figuring it out as I go. It felt like an old boys club.
That's exactly
it's old boys club.
Dudes that were just stuff. That's not our club.
It's not the club.
I'm sure there's maybe some clubs like that, but not ours.
But I mean, there's a lot of women in our club. There's a lot of younger people in our club now, and it's connected me to the community again. Coming back 5 years ago, I was like, I knew a lot of the same people. It was just like, oh, I'm home. And the people in our club, I'm always so impressed because a lot of these people have some real roots here. And I think that's so important for Southwest Florida in general, to keep that heartbeat of the charm and the culture and the history. Because as we know, people are pouring concrete left and right and forgetting the essence of Naples. And I think Naples is a little unusual in a Rotary sense that there's several clubs in Naples. I think most other cities, if I'm not mistaken,
big cities would have multiples and even bigger clubs, you know. But
to me, Naples isn't like a big city. I mean, we're a big small town, but we are flush with Rotary clubs. So there are several.
Yeah, ours is. I would still say
ours is the best. I mean, we put on Beer Fest.
I think it's important if you make a living somewhere that you should be supporting and giving back to that same place.
Yeah.
It only makes your neighborhood and your town, your general area better and more welcoming. And I mean, this goes back to, I'm not knocking other counties near us or anything, but if you had your choice, if it was going to be Collier, Lee, Hendry, even Monroe, which is, mainly swamp other than the Keys, people want to move to Collier County, and there's a reason for that. The folks that came before us, the Winds, the Gaynors, the Norrises, and all those, names that you see, they had Franks, swamp buggies, they had a certain, it wasn't about making the dollar and splitting. It was about keeping this place a great place to live. And so, I told you, I'm a kid of the 80s, that's my music, man, is the 80s, because that's when I was in, middle school, high school. Those folks, some of them moved away, and they're coming back, you know what I mean? Because they know, I don't care how frustrated you get, especially if you came here in 1973 and you see how much growth has been here, and the old timers. Oh, I remember it was this little town, I do too. I remember on being in high school and parking on Fifth Avenue because it was rolled up. It was dark at 5:30 or 6 o'clock on a Friday. It didn't open back up. And we parked there, and we just did a circuit driving around town. That's all we did because there was nothing to do.
There's nothing to do, yeah.
Now this place is vibrant, and they say, yeah, it's growing too much. They go somewhere else, and it's not so great.
No.
And they realize how great it is here in not just Naples, but Collier County in general. But Naples is the hub.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm fortunate to be the tax collector in Collier County. I love this place. We're at a sweet spot. We're around 416,000 people in the county now. Our neighbors to the north and Lee are over 800,000. And so, it may be busy here, but it's not crazy busy like, it is in other places.
Right.
And I think it's important that, we elect people to keep it that way and the specialness of Collier County.
I agree. And Collier County, it's such a good point. I mean, obviously the show, we talk about this a lot. It's called Everybody Loves Naples because Naples is, to me, also the hub and where I'm from. And how blessed are we to have Bonita seeing its growth. Estero, FGCU's now becoming a very awesome college, a big name.
That's a destination spot, especially for people in the north. Going, whoa, I want to go down there.
And we're hearing more and more from young people that like FGCU is on their list. I'm like thinking, when I was growing up, it was like, yeah, FGCU, I'm not staying here. It was like, I didn't really associate it any different than like, Florida Southern Edison. Like, I just was like, no.
Hey, now don't knock Edison.
I'm not. I went there I have some credits from there.
She's going to pull any jab she can, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. But, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Collier County, being the tax collector for everybody, the city of Naples is different. I always bring this up because the city of Naples is very small. The greater Naples area, Collier County, that's who you're talking about. That's the taxes you're collecting. So 416,000?
Yeah, I think we're around, and that's somewhat estimated. Officially the census happens every 10 years.
And that's primary resident or?
That is a residence. Means you live here.
Resident 6 months and a day, at least.
I don't think that's, you live here. You reside here. Yes.
You live here, you work here. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And so, that's nothing to, I remember when it was 85-ish thousand.
Right.
When I was young, a lot younger.
Yeah.
And that's a big increase.
Yeah.
Do you know the figure off the top of your head of the snowbirds on top of the 400 and change?
No, but I would say we probably grow by 20%, give or take. Not all at once, but I know we get over 100,000 influx in here in the season easy. But they may be here a few weeks, a few months. It all depends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of taxes,
we all know that, right?
Yeah,
when you get on the road, you know that.
We can feel it.
When it gets hot, I love them coming down. We're glad they're here.
Yeah.
But when it gets hot and they want to get out of the heat, and you can see it on the roads, it's like you can get across town in a lot less time and those kind of things.
You have a parking spot at the beach, and it's like, oh, it's so hot. Don't care. I can get around a little easier. My commute is, cut in half. It feels like. But speaking of taxes, we've got a big deadline coming up, everybody. March 1st is the deadline to file for your homestead exemption. And this is the perfect guy to tell us a little bit about what a homestead exemption is. Obviously, if you're my client, you know what it is, but let's hear the rest from the big dog.
So a homestead is not something that the tax collector does. All exemptions are done by the property appraiser's office. And I have a deal with the property appraiser and Vicki Downs. I don't appraise things. She doesn't do taxes, but I will. We try to help each other out whenever we're out somewhere. And so at the end of the day, I'll give you a high level. But when you get down to some detailed information, you want to get that directly from the property appraiser. But filing for your homestead, if this is your residence and you live here, you file for homestead exemption. That gives you a $25,000 exemption on, the primary on everything, all the value of your house. The second $25,000 exemptions on everything except for the schools. But the key is that that locks you in. There's a lot of talk about taxes right now in Tallahassee and changes things, but the current status is the most that your taxable value can go up in any given year as a homesteaded property is 3%. 3% or CPI, whichever is less. So 3% would be the max. If you're non-homesteaded, commercial or non-homesteaded, it can go up 10% a year. And so let's just say it goes up 20%. So you can only go up 10% of the taxable value that you're going to pay on one year. And let's say it doesn't go up again the next year. That 10% that was exempted from the year before is going to get picked up again.
What?
So it's hard to, unless you, as you only go up 3% a year, the delta between that artificially low and what the actual value will be is what they call your Save Our Homes exemption, because that was a Save Our Homes amendment. And there's always there's a great thought with that. What happened was homesteaded properties. Initially, before we had any of these, I know, let's say you raised a family, every family's gone, you got a 5-bedroom house, and the taxes keep going up, and you're basically getting pushed out of your house, the place that you've been in forever. So they came across with the Save Our Homes. Okay, so now Save Our Homes amendment would get you artificially capped at 3% per year on your homestead. Had an unintended consequence over time that 5-bedroom house, as you get older, your taxes stay artificially low, but you're not really using that. And if you were to leave there and go to let's say a condo, your taxes may go from, a very low amount to now that's reassessed at their actual value, and your taxes would go way up for a much smaller residence. Right. So so then they came up with portability,
which I think is
Yes, that's a great. So as you built
You'll
up
have
all
it.
that Save Our Homes over time, and you had the 5-bedroom house, well, it would serve better to be
Yeah.
a home for a growing family, and they could use it rather than a bunch of empty bedrooms and whatnot. And so you can move to another place, and you can port some of that exemption with you.
Right.
They even extended it, so it's not just you have to go from a house to a initially right away. They even gave you some time, a couple years, and I don't want to get into the dates because that's a property appraiser would determine that. But again,
for you,
property
staying in your
appraiser, I'll
lane.
tell you 239-252-8141 or collierappraiser.com. I mean, they can answer all your questions when it comes to that. I just know it by heart. And so, with that portability, then it allows you to port some of that exemption so you can move to a smaller place and not get blasted with taxes. Right. You weren't locked in there. So, there's every time, and I say every time they mess or monkey with the system, there's always going to be some unintended consequences that just people don't think about. And so I would love to not pay property taxes. Put me out of business would be great because I pay them too. I just don't know how you're going to, the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for the things that, how are you going to pay to keep the roads nice and
absolutely
and all that
not.
kind of stuff.
That's
a whole nother, probably several episodes.
And the beach parking free for Collier residents.
Yeah, right. I'm not behind it. I think it's, I do think maybe the homestead exemption amount should be a little more significant because our values have gone up here. So 50,000 combined was a lot off your tax bill when your home was,
I heard that
275,000.
Initially, when it came out at $25,000, the first exemption, the average home, I don't remember what it was, but maybe it was 75,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a third of your value. Well, now that's not homes. So I think at the end of the day, because you got to have the House and the Senate have to agree on something, whether it becomes a constitutional amendment that we vote on, or they decide, and my understanding is they could change the homestead exemption just legislatively. They don't need to have a constitutional amendment. I think at the end of the day, that most likely is the thing that will happen because it's the easiest and thing to accomplish, and you are accomplishing what you're trying to do because they keep talking about homestead properties. Well, increase the homestead, and if you do, why don't you increase it and lock it into CPI or something?
Sure.
And because right now it is, if you noticed, your 25,000 in Collier County, 25,000 last year became like 25,722 or something like that.
Yeah, I did notice that.
So so you lock that, and then that way it keeps pace with it, and you've kind of I think you fix it now. I don't know what the unintended consequences is. That's for, down the road, but there is one, I'm sure.
In our county and in our state, affordability is a big thing, obviously, everywhere in the country. But here, if you are a local resident, and we'll call it homestead, you live here and you work here and you contribute to your community, those should be the residents who benefit from any tax cut, whether it's another $10,000 off your homestead or $50,000 additional. I don't know. But I don't think getting rid of taxes altogether, I think that's a terrible idea personally. It just doesn't. How pretty Collier County is and the medians and even Lee. I mean, our beaches, like, who's paying for that? People, property tax. We're not paying income tax. So I don't think we should get rid of it. I think it should be incentivized if you are a local here and have your homestead.
But see, you could be a local here and not have a homestead. You could be renting.
Well, and that's
and then if you pass those things on to non-homesteaded properties, now you have somebody that's renting. That is they live and work here.
Yeah.
Born and raised here, but they don't own a house. That's going to get passed on to them. So your landlord's not going to eat the property taxes. It's going to be part of
your
what
rent.
what you pay.
Well, the tenant laws in Florida they don't serve the tenant, they serve the homeowner. And that's how it's been here for a long time compared to other states. So we could go on and on about that. But I think the portability feature of the homestead, the Save Our Homes, is the best. I think it's just so awesome, especially because of the influx of property. I mean, I know you're not the property appraiser, but I see it every day in what I do. I mean, between 2019 and 2023.
Silly.
Yeah. Wow.
Silly.
Right. And you can take that, you can port some of your tax if you're going to upsize, downsize. I think it's an awesome feature. So if you don't do the assessment, I know you don't because that's you're not a property appraiser. What does a day-to-day look like in the tax collector's office?
Somebody asked me that once, said, what do you do every day? I said, geez, that's a good question. Because I said, but it's, I go home at the end of the day and some days I'm just absolutely wore out.
Yeah.
The tax roll in Collier County this past year is roughly $1.8 billion that the tax collector's office collects. So, I'm not physically out here counting, 1, 5s, 10s, 20s or anything like that. But I have a great team, and there's always something going on. And there's always individuals that, believe that something isn't right for them. And they've got to talk to I want to talk to your supervisor.
Right.
And eventually the supervisor, the buck stops with me. And if that bubbles up to that level, those are the things that I do. But running the day-to-day operations mainly goes to the team, but I'm the guy that's trying to keep the culture the way it is, keep the folks that work there happy, keep them taking care of people. And so, it's really hard for me to say because there's no, what does a CEO do? Basically, that's what I am. I'm the CEO of the tax collector's office. And some days are better than others, but I've constantly have directors, they're coming, hey boss, we got this going on or whatnot. And one of the big things that we do, besides just being tax collector, the tax collector does motor services for the state. That's, titling and registrations and driver licenses, IDs, and especially driver license and IDs. There's been a lot of moving parts and, a TPS, temporary protected status, with
like the real ID and all
real
that.
ID. And real ID, Florida was way ahead of that. We started that, I'm trying to think. So this came about after 9/11. And so 2001, I think it was 2004 or so, was before I got to the tax collector's office. And Real ID became law of the land, but they gave states time to comply.
Yeah,
Comply.
okay.
Well, they kept kicking that down the road. Well, Florida was on it from the get-go, and so now you have to have a Real ID compliant identification to fly, or you could use a passport or whatnot. I mean, obviously it's a federal law, so that's a passport obviously covers that.
Right.
And in Collier County officially they have, I think it was just a couple hundred that the state said were not Real ID compliant. Now those they're still like that license would still be active. They could be deceased and that hasn't gone through. It's anybody that's not Real ID compliant that's been in Florida for any period of time, usually if you've renewed at least one time somewhere along, you're Real ID compliant. It's a rarity to have somebody that's not. It's only a few thousand in the entire state.
Accurate.
Wow.
Yeah. When I moved in 2019, I moved from Minnesota, and Minnesota to me, I got my license in 2016. Young. Anyway.
He's a baby.
I got my license in 2016, no Real IDs in Minnesota. And when I moved in 2019, I had full intention of being a Florida resident for the foreseeable future. And so I changed it 2021. Yeah, 2021, I got a new ID. And I was like, why? So when somebody explained Real ID to me, I was like, how come this is not going on in Minnesota? It's crazy how long that, compliance turnover took. And I would venture to guess that now it definitely is the standard, but it's crazy that even in 2016 it wasn't.
It was, and see, that was up to legislatures and whatnot in various states, and they decided what they wanted to do, and Florida.
I don't know. May I just add? Maybe we have our taxes in the right place.
Yeah, maybe. But
to not delay and let's handle this now. And I mean, you had a positive experience. We love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Florida ID also. I mean,
it's cute.
It's cute.
Yeah, and it's had some changes, but so going back to some of the things that I do, it's temporary protected status is changing and whatnot, and then you have folks. You just had the department. I just want to say department. I'm talking about Highway Safety Motor Vehicles announced on I think it was January 30th that all testing would be done in English only. And so on February 6th, so, you believe me, between January 30th and February 6th, it was chaos in the offices. People, because, well, they could take in their language. And, in Collier, the mainly would be English, Spanish, Creole. That would be your three main ones. And then on the morning of the 6th, the department announced that they, and I think this was driven because places like Miami-Dade County, we don't do appointments at our office. It's walk-in only. We found that appointments tend to be very inefficient. And the reason why is because a lot of people don't show up. Probably 40%.
And it's,
Wow.
And so when do you decide, okay, I'm a no-show and I'm going to take somebody else, So it's a walk-in.
Yeah.
I can tell you what, everybody out there, Mondays and Fridays, probably not the best days to come in. I'm not telling you that not to come in, but those are the busiest days, or a day after a holiday, which would tend to be a Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursdays, greater days to come in because, we're not as busy those days. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Folks say, over the weekend they decide they got to come in or, do those things. So we tend to have much busier Mondays, Fridays, or days after holidays, especially, long holidays, because that's just one more day that you got to pick up. We were told, if there was already an appointment made for testing, which would be driver, whether it's driving or the computer test, you could do it in English or Spanish. Okay, that's it. And I think that was the main driver there because they're out in Miami. They have appointments out into March.
Yeah.
We don't have we wait on Collier County residents and property owners. We used to do anybody, but the problem was we had this influx because other counties couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
I believe it.
And it's not, I feel it's the residents and property owners of Collier County paid for the building that I'm in.
Right.
They pay for all the things that we do. I'm going to make sure that we wait on those folks and not make them wait in line behind residents. Now, if you're jammed up, you lost your license. So we're not bureaucrats. There's exceptions to everything. We try to make sure that we work those things out. I tell our people that all the time. We are not bureaucrats.
Right.
The law is a box.
Yeah.
We have to stay in the box. We will squeeze ourselves into the corner as tight as we can get to try to accommodate what you're trying to accomplish, but we have to stay within the law.
Well, I think why it's so nice here. I think the team takes care of its own people first, and you contribute to society here.
Yeah. So I think it's important that that we service our customers are the folks that pay the bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that the fees for service, that's how this office operates in the tax collector's office. And I'll just tell you the fees that are generated from driver licenses and registrations, don't pay the freight. They're basically subsidized by property values and whatnot. And so that's how those things. So we're going to make sure that that's what we do.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's the discretion that I have as the tax collector to do that. But again, we're not going to, kick somebody to the curb because they said, hey man, I lost my wallet. I got my wallet stolen. I got to get on a plane or whatever, those kind of things. And there are ways that we can help. Yeah. And we'll do that. Yeah. We'll make the phone calls and do those kind of things. So I like to say we're full service kind of concierge, we go out of our way to try to help our customers as much as possible.
I just thought of something, and this is my squirrel brain. ID 21 Beer Fest. I want to touch on Beer Fest one more time.
Absolutely.
Let's give the listeners kind of a rundown of how the tickets work, because our big thing is we sold out months ago for the fest. So how many tickets do we sell per year?
I think this last year it went down a little bit for COVID, but I think we limit it to 1,350 tickets we
1,350 people are coming to support not only our Rotary Club, but the local restaurants and sponsors that we have around town. We have 16 restaurant sponsors this year.
Yes. And they're paired with and the cool thing is they're paired with a beer.
Yep.
So you've heard of, like wine and cheese pairings, those kind of things. Well, these are food and beer pairings. Yes, they do go together.
Yeah.
And it's not just wings and beer or those kind of things. These restaurants are competing for we have the People's Choice Awards. That's
Yeah.
that's the patrons, they vote for second, third place,
Which is super important, by the way. If you go to Beer Fest, please vote.
absolutely.
It's
yeah.
a great accolade for the restaurants that participate.
These restaurants, and they're competitive.
Yeah,
they,
it's awesome.
They may come in the first year kind of like, and then when they see what's really happening, they're like, oh yeah, I'm in next year and I'm going for it. You know, they may or may not do something that's on their menu. They may pull out something special for that food and beer pairing. And so you have the People's Choice, and then you also have, we call it the Grand Champion, and that's professional chefs that mainly. We have Tim Ayton. Tim Ayton's in.
Tim Ayton's a judge this year,
and he said, yeah, I have to pregame somehow for weeks ahead to get ready, because you think about 16, and even if you don't eat the full sample, but 16 1 or 2 bites of food, 16 samples of beer. He said, and you're blown out. I mean, you're like, oh, I can't do anymore.
His wife or his daughter, someone in his family, has quite a few food allergies, and we learned this when he came on the show. So the restaurants that they go to have to be a little like gluten-free, gluten-friendly, if you will, or so I'm sure he's not probably used to heavy beer and this food though is so good. We're gonna try to see if you can come down. Tickets $1,350 tickets.
There are food, they go on sale the Monday after the fest. So the fest here's one to put in your books. It's always the first Saturday of March. Always. No matter what. And so that's anywhere from the 1st to the 7th. This year it happens to be the 7th. So
tickets go on the 9th.
On the 9th at like midnight, 12:01 a.m. You can start buying tickets for the following year. Wow. And we don't really push it or advertise it like crazy. And so you sell a lot of tickets in the very beginning, and maybe 800, 900, and then those final 300, 400 taper over and we sell out anywhere from like Thanksgiving to the beginning of January without even really trying to push it. Yeah. Because I like to have folks that, have an opportunity to purchase them. But listen, if we sell them out in June, that's fine with me too,
I meant to ask Bob or anyone else in the club if we have any extras, because I have quite a few people asking me. This happens every year, and I miss the ticket window.
So I would say this, it's simple. You go to NaplesCraftBeerFest.com. On there is a pop-up will come up and it says we're sold out. But there's a great site that we have for resale. It's called Tixel. Tixel is a safe place to buy and sell tickets because Eventbrite is who we do our tickets through. Yep. You put your tickets on Tixel up for sale. And I think there's a maximum extra you could charge like 8%, not a lot, because we don't want people scalping tickets. And those kind of things. So you can't go up. Somebody decided to have a wedding or whatever, which that's a whole other thing. We've had people move weddings because of the beer fest. That's great stories there. So anyway, you put it on there and then somebody can purchase it. And what it does is it actually cancels your ticket, creates a new ticket for you through Eventbrite and gives it to you. So it's a place to go to keep from getting scammed. Yeah. There's a lot of scams. And the more popular this has become, the more that we see this scams happen. We even had... we're receiving this year an email from somebody that said they were charging for the restaurants, the space, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, is this for? I said, this isn't us. Believe me. Yeah. So somebody's out there, just bad people.
I know, scammers.
Yeah, I wish them skunky beer or the rest of their life. You know what I mean?
I did post quite a few things yesterday.
I saw it. Yes.
And I have a lot in the queue.
Nice.
So we're going to be posting a lot on the Naples Craft Beer Fest Instagram page. We will link it here. Stay up to date with this year's fest and all the fests to come, because 15 years, it's a big one. Also, I have to shout out to our logo person really quick. The logos we have for the Beer Fest are out of this world. This year it's an octopus, kind of wrapping its,
Well, I will give you the shout out then.
Give me the shout
Wilson
out.
Creative
Wilson
Group.
Creative.
Wilson Creative Group has been a great partner for us. Peggy Wilson, she gets it. She loves the fest, and so they have really worked well. We've been great together, and we tasked them with that. And I said, this is an important year. This is the 15th year, and this year, so all proceeds from the fests have always gone to charity. Mm-hmm. They go to our foundation, which then go to, whatever the charitable giving that we do is.
Right.
This year will be the year that we cross the net, $1 million. We will have the Beer Fest will have raised over $1 million at the end of this fest, and so it's important to us. So we have some really, the logo is one thing, and then we have a fishing shirt coming out that's gonna this year. It's got all the past logos on the back from the 14 years prior. It's a really cool looking shirt, and we sell a little bit of hats, and we have T-shirts and those kind of things. That's not really why we do the fest.
No, but it's fun. People
they want something.
They like something to take away, and if you're at the fest, we will have a merch tent. Mary Kay is always on that tent. We have such a good time at the Beer Fest. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody who's going because Rob and I don't have a choice. We will be there.
Yes, all day.
All day.
And you're young enough, you're going to come there early.
I know. I'm always
7 to 7.
I know.
That's the shift.
It's the shift. Yeah, it's not a bad place to be, Bayfront. I mean, it's gorgeous in there. There's plenty of shade, nice breeze. Yeah, we're super looking forward to it. This episode will come out before the Beer Fest, so we will use some of these clips to push that a little bit and just get the buzz out again for next year because these do sell out. I would imagine like 65% of our guests are returning.
Oh, more than that.
More than like 90?
I would say, I'd say probably 80.
Yeah.
80, and I'm just anecdotally. I mean, but I'm sure that, it's just because I see the same people every year, all the time.
As a matter of fact, if you have a ticket to Beer Fest this year, comment the word Beer Fest 2026, and we're going to raffle off 2 tickets to Beer Fest for 2027. There we go. That's how we have to do it, I guess. This is a great way to get the public involved.
Yep. Okay. I'm game. Let's do it.
Well, it's not on you.
No, that's good.
Okay, great.
You just made an executive decision and
well, for Everybody Loves Naples, I'll buy them.
You don't have to buy them.
Yeah.
No, the fest will. If it's somebody that is on Everybody Loves Naples and they do that, sounds good.
All right. Yeah. Comment the word. What did I say?
2026.
Naples Craft Beer Fest.
Yep. 2026.
2026, and then we'll do a little raffle. Shindig. Yep. Yeah. Anything else, Jay?
The show's getting 3 because one's coming over here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to get away he should cover it. We're going to have West Wave there this year. I meant to shout them out. Those are buddies of mine that I grew up with and love and adore. Danny and Nick and the rest of the crew there. I was asked to help find a band last year, and I was like, well, these guys are great. And we have a loose knit committee. Yes, very loose.
And Sarah Hadeka, we love Sarah, and Sarah, we'll do her, she's come a couple years in a row.
She's fabulous.
Then we just don't want to have somebody 3 years in a row. Yeah. She's awesome. And, but we've had some great, bands play there, and there's a lot of folks that want to do it, and it's important because it's atmosphere. Yeah. But it's not, it's not a music festival.
Right.
It's a craft beer fest. Really, it's a craft beer, food and beer pairing festival is what it is. But it's important to have cool music there, not crummy music. I mean, I guess you could can some music and play, DJ it or whatever, but that just doesn't work because people love hanging out by the band and
the live music. I think is everything. Yeah. We're gonna get you there. I feel like.
And I want to, while we're here and doing this, I want to give a shout out to the folks at Bayfront. The commercial side, the residential side. We have a good relationship with them. We try to be a good neighbor. I tell the commercial side, thank you for letting us use your front yard, and the residential side, appreciate you letting us use your backyard when we're in the promenade. We try to be respectful of the noise and those types of things, and we haven't had complaints. We have a lot of fans there that are that encourage us to come back and do that. We have a great relationship with the Naples High School JROTC. Those kids come after the fest is over. You talk about strong backs, young, energetic. Yes. That's one of the things that we support. See, they're not a charity, but we support them in some of the things that they do, and they come help us tear that thing down. And the fest ends promptly at 4 p.m. And you would not know that we were there at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It is crazy
It's
how
awesome.
fast we clear that stuff out.
Yeah.
And I've talked to residents that sit on their balcony and just watch it because it's like just choreographed.
Yeah, it's an orchestra.
It's like
of
watching
kids and
ants.
doing the,
shoo, it's just gone. Everything. And
no,
it
is great. It is, especially after some of our members, like you said, or not even if they're older. Like, it's a long day for us. And so to have those extra hands of help, it's like,
and then at the end of the day, when you talked about, do you
the
have
extras? Yeah.
It's a good. It's relief and happiness. We had another successful fest. We'll go over and have a couple beers and maybe have some dinner or something like that, and just chat, because we know that as a team, all the club members have gotten together and had a great event. Raised a bunch of money for our foundation that will turn around and support charitable causes from Naples to around the world. And that's what's important to us. That's why we do it, And it doesn't hurt to have a little fun and have some beer
and
along
the
the way.
beer's awesome.
Absolutely.
We don't do the drinking that day until afterwards.
No.
But
No, but we get,
We can work hard and have fun.
absolutely.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah, but a lot of our Beer Fest meetings are at the restaurants and places we go that we have sponsored, and so we've tried plenty of the beer.
Yeah, so we'd love for folks to, if you're looking at the Instagram Fest page or the Facebook Fest page, all those supporters, whether they're restaurants or just members of the club or other businesses around that have been sponsors of this fest, to support them.
Yes.
Because they see it, they see value in it, and they see that this is a worthy cause. And so we always tell folks, hey, go to those restaurants, because one, you'll get a great meal, and you'll get some good craft beer and have a good time, and tell them, I always tell them thanks, because there's a lot of things to do in town.
Yeah.
So everybody that comes to this festival, it's important for me to, as I go around that day, thanking people, asking if they're having a good time, and we appreciate them being there, because there's a million and one things to do in Collier County in March.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
and they
this
took
is
the
the
time
main
to. I would agree. This is the
I'm
cool
going
one.
to shout out the restaurants because I have them right here. Brookside Beer Market, Pies on Pies. That's new this year. They're a pair.
Yep, they're pairing up.
We've got Saluna Restaurant. We've got Fire and Rice, Chef Paul. The Alchemist, which is, they're also
Associated
Associated
Chef Paul,
Gelato.
Yep.
Parmesan Pete's. Oh, I love that place.
Yeah. Well, you talk about some of the best chicken parm
I was
on
just
the
about
planet.
to say, that's what I usually get when agreed. Tavern on the Bay. I mean, you'll probably see us
OG,
there after.
one of the OGs. I think they've
Stable.
been in it pretty much every year, maybe 1 year out of the 15 that have been in it.
They're awesome. The Bowl, I'm there frequently. Acai bowls and smoothies. Mission Barbecue. They
Awesome.
have the coolest truck outside when we set up. It's like, love
Bringing
it.
all the scents to Bayfront too.
Yeah.
Bringing the good smells.
Right. The scents. Boston Beer Garden, BBG. Couldn't do it without you either.
Another OG, yeah.
Amber's chocolate chip cookies. Okay, when I say like you can't just have one, like these are the best damn cookies.
Yeah.
I have to stay away. The Hangout by Two Guys.
Yep.
Awesome spot. EJ's right there, Bayfront Cafe. I think we all kind of take turns as we're setting up to go grab a quick breakfast. I mean,
I
they're
can't
the
eat
best.
that day, so it doesn't.
You lose your appetite, the nerves, the jitters. Yeah, not me. I'll be there. Alice Sweetwater's.
Yep, another one
Classic.
that's been in it multiple times.
She has some of the best outfits. Yeah. Unido's.
Yep.
Tried
First
that
timer
recently.
this year?
Yes. That restaurant is top of my, like a new favorite for me.
Take Onitos one more time. Just say Onitos.
Unidos. Love it. The Mini Bar.
Minis,
back.
I think they're back. I think last year was their first year.
Yep. Dylan's Draft House.
Dylan's,
staple.
John and the team over there. They're another one that's, I would say OG. They're probably at least 12 of the 15 years. They might have started a little bit late, but maybe more. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
And they're always having fun.
Yeah. Shout out. I mean, seriously, thank you to all of our restaurant sponsors. I think I got them all, and if I missed one, I will plug it in later. But we're super excited. Only a couple weeks away. And thank you, Rob, for all that you do for the Beer
Sure,
Fest.
and I want to thank Suncoast Beverage, because they're our distributor partner with that's where all the beers come from, and they've been great to work with, and their team comes out and helps us that day. And I think they have fun. I think that, it's one of these things that they're doing an event, but people like doing it because they have a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And I always make sure that, I tell them again, they don't have to be there, but they like being there. So we appreciate them because we're at the end of the day, time, talent, or treasure, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're raising some treasure to be able to spread about, in a charitable way.
Yeah, all these volunteers, and thank you so much for coming.
You're very
welcome.
welcome.
Doing this. This was awesome.
Rob, is there anything you want to say on behalf of the tax collector's office to the people of Collier County?
No. Well, the only thing would be is our motto: service is our only product, and that's what drives us every day. I tell folks, perfection is a goal. We know it's not obtainable, but that doesn't mean we can't try to look for it all the time and go for it and try to solve problems for people because, everything's not cookie cutter. But we do have a box to stay within, and we will do everything we can to try to get, a solution to whatever problem it is you have that we can do, so always look us up.
Yeah, I love it.
We're happy to help.
Yeah, I'm on your website. A little too much these days. Every day.
That's something that you didn't mention either is that people need to be aware of, especially coming down, is when you buy a house.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Real
Assessed
quick.
value.
It's not even that. It's the taxes. So the taxable value that you're paying, somebody that's been there, remember we talked about Save Our Homes and the exemption that can be built up over years. What will happen is you may be, because you've been homesteaded for so long. Let's say your taxes are $1,500 a year. You sell your home to somebody that comes down, and wants to, live the good life down here in Collier County, and they come from up north, and they purchase a place. Well, that's going to get reassessed at whatever the value is, not necessarily what you purchase it for, but what the property appraiser.
Yeah, that's a huge misconception. Yeah. It's not always what you purchase it for.
Yeah.
There is a feature, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but this ties perfectly in on the website that I use often, which is your estimated tax value.
Property appraiser does that.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Property appraiser, estimated tax value. You can plug that in with your purchase price for your estimate because it will be more, most likely, than what you see on the MLS, what you see on the printout sheet of the property listing and what they pay, especially if they've owned it more than 5 years.
Yeah. And so what happens is that they were paying $1,500 because they had been in there 25 years. You come in and next thing you know, you're paying $3,500 or $4,000, and you're like, wait, what happened?
Right.
I'll still say if you came from,
I was just about to say, if you're from Chicago,
I'm not going to knock it, but if you're from the Northeast or
Yeah.
whatever, it's probably a lot less. But still, it's a shock because
Yeah.
or you say, wait a minute, I'm in a development. I have the same exact house as this guy right here that I just bought. I'm paying $6,000 a year, and he's paying $2,000. Why is that? It's because he's been in there, she been in there and had it homesteaded for a period of time. And so they have that artificially low because they built that Save Our Homes up. So you need to make sure, and, realtors especially, that's one of the things that you want, when I bought a house, I said, do I need to pay do I have to have flood insurance? How much is the insurance going to cost? What was the year built? Because all those things are part of it, and that's a whole nother.
You shouldn't even have to ask.
Yeah, and you're right. A good realtor will tell you.
Right.
I estimate and said, that your taxes are going to be.
We have
whatever
all the
that
features.
exempted value is. Just plug it right back in because that's where you be.
That's exactly right. And file for your homestead because it really does make all the difference to have that portability. Yeah. For you and for your entire family, definitely do it. You have it.
March 1st is the deadline. CollierAppraiser.com. Not with us, but there are brothers and sisters over there, and we work very closely together. So
Vicky's great too. That's awesome. Maybe we can have her on one of these days. Well, thank you so much, and go Rotary, go Beer Fest, go Property Tax.
We'll see it out there.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks you. Thanks to both of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.